What's up everyone? Ray coming to you live from Pilgrim today, and just going to go over some of my favorite core exercises to do. I'm a big proponent of training anti-movement before having someone do movement when it comes to core training. So my go-tos are usually pal-off presses or holds, variations of those, which I'll show you today. Anti-lateral flexions, so like side planks, Copenhagen planks, which I'm going to show you today. Anti-flexion extension, trying to keep the core stable. So a plank is a good one. Iso holds on a back extension, like a 45-degree back extension. So I'll show you some of my favorites today that I use. Like I said, I'm a big proponent of training the body to resist movement, teaching the core to brace and protect the spine before you progress to actual core movement, flexion, extension, lateral flexion, rotational movements. For ab training, people love to do crunches, sit-ups, decline sit-ups. Like I said, I'm a big proponent of training the anti-movement first and then progressing to movement. So I'm going to show you a Copenhagen plank first, some modifications, regressions, and progressions of that. So I like to use a bench about 12 to 16 inches from the floor is usually good. The reason being, I like to have a bench so I can fit my other leg underneath it. So how I'm going to set up, if you're not on a carpet or a soft floor, I'm on a hard floor here, I grab an Eric's pad, or I'll fold the mat in half, so that's going to be for my elbow. So I'm going to get close to the bench here. I'm going to rest my elbow and forearm on that. Feels a lot better than the floor, that's for sure. And just start with the beginning regression for a Copenhagen side plank. So I have one leg straight or bent underneath the bench. I have the other leg up on that bench. The knee is bent, so I have more surface area on the bench. And all I'm going to do is lift up. I'm keeping my bottom leg on the ground. This is the beginner regression for a Copenhagen side plank. What you're going to feel is through here, transverse abdominis, oblique, shoulder, adductor in the inner thigh is really working to lift up. I'm just going to lower down. So that's how I would start someone who's never done anything like this before. The next progression would be lifting the leg off the floor. So you come up, lift the leg up. I'll squeeze against the bench, so I'm working the adductors on my bottom leg. So that's a little harder to hold. So then from that, I would progress to not bending the knee. So moving further away, making you a longer lever. If I go straight leg, I'm going to start with my leg on the ground. I'll lift up. So I got to work way harder through here to hold myself up. So I'm just going to go up, lift, lift, and hold. So you can see I'm shaking. And then I'm going to drop down. So those are the progressions and regressions for a Copenhagen side plank. Starting with the knee bent, the other leg that's underneath on the floor. Because if you've never done that before, first off, really lights up that inner thigh, those adductor muscles. It's a great way to strengthen them. Then I'll progress to lifting the leg up on the bottom. I'll start people with 5 to 10 second holds. Then I'll progress to maybe 20, 30 second holds per side. Once you get comfortable there, you have good upper body, shoulder strength, and good adductor strength. Then progressing to going with a straight leg, your longer lever. It's going to be a little more difficult, but they're great. I mean, it's teaching your body to use muscles probably a lot of us neglect. So these adductor muscles, the hip muscles, all through the core. We're resisting that lateral flexion movement, so definitely one of my favorites to do. So that's the Copenhagen plank or Copenhagen side plank. A lot of different variations you can do. For example, today a guy here, I had him doing the static holds. They also had him doing hip raises up and down for reps. So a lot of different things you can do with that. just slide this out of the way. Pal-off presses, pal-off cable holds. You can use bands, cables, whatever your preference. I'm just going to show you a band today. So I have a super band. I've got an anchor point. I'm just going to pull it through here. So once that's secured, so I want some tension on it. So for a standard pal-off hold, I'm just going to loop my hands together, interlock them. The resistance is directly to my side. I go anywhere between hip and chest level. I'm kind of right in between there here, just above my hips. What I'm going to do is brace with my core, so I'm creating tension here, like if I was going to punch you. Draw the abs in, shoulders down and back. We're resisting rotation, so as I press out, I'm resisting this movement. I don't want to turn like that. I don't want to turn this way. I don't want the band to pull me back. So I'm here, I'm stable, I have a knee bend and my core drawn in, and I press out and I pull back in. The further away you go, the harder it is. If you have any back issues, sometimes I'll just have clients go halfway, half reps. So that is a pal-off press. I will sometimes do the holds out at the end, or holds halfway for time, for like 15 to 30 seconds, maybe 2 to 3 sets to start off. Again, you're resisting the rotational force. You're trying to stay stable while that's pulling on you. So can be done with a band like I did here. On a cable machine, just set it up anywhere between hip and chest height, and that's going to work really good. I prefer to use bands for it. A, because I can do it anywhere. B, I like the constant tension of that resistance band versus, if you're trying to do this with a weight, it's not pulling from an anchor point, it's just pulling you straight down. So you'd be more so avoiding that up and down movement if you're holding a weight. So a band or a cable is going to be a better option for you. Just going to real quick show you different variations of pal-off presses or holds, positions you can do them from. So I showed you standing. You can do half kneeling, where you would want to lower the anchor point. So here I can, if I'm on a cable or a pole, I can move how high that is, so it's hip to chest level. But I would do a half kneeling position. So I'm taking my legs out of it for stabilization. Outside leg is a little easier to hold for me and most people that I work with versus going inside leg closest to the anchor point. It seems to be a little more difficult. You can start here, you press out, or you do your holds. You can go from both knees. So it's standing, half kneeling, both knees. You can be seated on a stability ball. You can be seated on a bench, also very good. I like to sometimes have people sit on the bench, squeeze their legs together on the bench so you're working the adductors like we were on that Copenhagen Plank. Other variations of these pal-off presses, you don't have to go straight out in front. You can go straight up and lock out over the head and avoid the lateral flexion, not just rotation. So that's another thing that I like to do. You can go from different anchor points, like I said. I generally have people go anywhere between the hips and chest or shoulders for where the anchor point is with the band. You can go for reps on the presses, go for time on the holds. Generally, you're working anti-rotation. So do those a lot here at Harley-Davidson. Everyone does them in our work conditioning classes. Really good at teaching your core to stabilize and reduce the risk of those rotational forces on your spine when you do go through those rotational movements. So just a quick review today of my favorites that I show you guys: the Copenhagen side plank, variations of a pal-off press or hold, anti-movement core training, very big in my programming for anyone that I work with, especially if they've never done anything before we progress to movement training for the core. So that's all I have for today, guys. Hope you have a good Wednesday. If you have any questions about anti-movement core training, reach out to me. Have a good day, you guys.